I'm Shelly Turner with the Builderall team. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to configure the webinar funnel. The first thing we're going to do is look at the blueprint, and then we're going to go in and edit the funnel. So let's look at the blueprint by going to the page icon, going to the blueprint area, and clicking the word blueprint. And now we've got the blueprint right in front of us, and this is the structure of this webinar. And it always starts off with traffic first. You have to drive traffic into your funnel, and that traffic can be from Facebook ads, from YouTube ads, or it can even come from a different funnel that you have that you send into this funnel. So you drive traffic to the first page, which is the webinar registration page, and this is where you're going to have information about your webinar. You're going to have the topics that are going to be discussed, and you might even put some information about the speakers or the guest speakers or anyone that you're going to have on your webinar. And then right on that page, there's a registration form. When they register, they'll be redirected then to the registration confirmation page. And this is where they're confirmed that they're registered, and it tells them, don't forget that your webinar is on such and such a date at such and such time. Also, there's going to be a timer on that page, and that timer is going to be counting down to that webinar. When the counter reaches 0, it will forward to the broadcast page. So when the webinar goes live, it'll forward all of your visitors that are at the confirmation page, it'll forward them to the broadcast page. And there they can watch the webinar live. And then once the webinar is over, you can have a replay page, and site visitors can get the replay link from their email sequence. And that email sequence, when they receive the email and they get the link, they can click on it and go to the replay page. They can watch the webinar again in case they missed it, or if they just want to see it again to get the information again. Let's go ahead and go into the funnel and we'll start editing. So I'm going to go to the page icon and I'm going to click Webinar Funnel. That takes me to the webinar homepage. And remember, we've got several pages. So we've got the registration page, the confirmation page, the broadcast page, and then the replay page. So let's start with registration. And on this page, you can edit anything you want to be able to make it personal to you and your webinar. You may want to have a short video explaining the webinar and what you're going to talk about, what you're going to teach, what value you're going to give. Even down here, you could put pictures of your guest speakers or anyone that's going to be on the webinar and their credentials, what they're an expert in. And then the most important thing that you have on this page is actually the registration or opt-in form here. So in order to set this opt-in form up, we need to right-click it, and we need to go to Configure. And we can choose any autoresponder that we want to. I'm going to choose Mailing Boss. And here are my subscriber lists. I'm going to choose the one that I want to send my leads to. So I'm going to choose Lead Capture. And now my opt-in form is set up. Now I have to configure the redirects so that once they fill out this opt-in form, where are they going to go? So I'm going to right-click this form again and go to Change URL. And remember, once they fill out this opt-in form, I want them to go to the webinar confirmation page so that they know we got their information and they know when the webinar is so they can add it to their calendar. So on Pending Subscribe, I'm going to choose the confirmation page. So I'm going to go to Page, and then Select, and then Confirmation, and OK. Then I'm going to do the same thing for Subscription Confirmed. I'm going to click No Action, go to Page, click Select, and go to Confirmation, and then OK. And then the unsubscribe confirmation, this is when they choose to unsubscribe. So this means they got an email, they click the unsubscribe in the email. Where do we want to send them once they've clicked that unsubscribe? Well, I want to send them back to the registration page because we're just going to assume they didn't really mean to unsubscribe. And if we send them back here to the registration page, they can subscribe again. So I'm going to click No Action. I'm going to go to Page, and I'm going to click Select and go to Webinar Registration, and then OK. And now I've got all those filled out, so I'm going to click Confirm, and then Confirm again. And now we've got everything set up in this page. These are the most important things we need to do. So I'm going to click Save. And this is the first save for my site, so I have to name it. And then Send and Save. And now the first page of my webinar is complete. So I'm going to now go into the second page, which is the webinar confirmation page. and I'm going to click that, and we're going to go ahead and edit that page. So right here again, we've got a lot of information that we can change and set it up according to when our webinar is happening. We can include a video to explain that they're confirmed and explain their next steps in getting ready for the webinar. You can put the date and the time of the webinar, and the most important thing on this page is the timer. So let's go ahead and right click the timer, and we're going to go to edit. And here's where we can set up our timer to reflect the exact time that the webinar is going to happen, and we're going to do a redirect so that when the timer gets to 0, it will redirect to the actual webinar page. So let's go ahead and set that up. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change the date. So I'm going to click this little down arrow, and I'm going to choose the 27th. And then I have it at 8 o'clock p.m. So I'm going to change this number for the end time to 8 o'clock and the minutes to 0. And now that I've got the time set up, I need to set up the action of what's going to happen once the timer gets to 0. And remember, we want to send them to the broadcast page. So I'm going to click Action, and then I'm going to go to Page, and then Select, and then Webinar Broadcast Page. And then I'm going to click OK. And once everything is set up the way I want it, I'm going to go ahead and click Confirm. Now there's a lot of settings in that timer. You can change the colors, you can change the shape, you can change the size, but the most important thing for sure is to set up the date and time of the webinar, and then the action that happens once the timer counts down to 0. Now that we've made those changes, we need to make sure to save. And now it's set up so that they go to the webinar registration page, they fill out the opt-in form, then they're sent to this page, and on this page there's a timer. Once the timer hits 0, it's going to forward them to the broadcast page. So now let's take a look at the broadcast page. So I'm going to click Webinar Broadcast, and on this page we have the ability to set up our broadcast room. And this broadcast room can be set up a couple of different ways. You can set it up so that it live streams from a YouTube channel. And to do that, you just right click and you click Configure, and you'll put your link to your YouTube channel right here. The live stream link, you'll need to put that right there. And then you have some choices on how to set up the way it displays for your users. And once you put in the link and you do your settings, you can click Confirm. Also underneath this, there is a little, it's called a review box, but it can be used as like a chat area. And what happens is while the webinar is going on, you can actually have your users chat in there, and they can send you notices, messages. You can ask them questions and they can answer. So it's a really neat way to create some interaction. One of the things you can ask are when you start the webinar, you can tell them, give me your name and where you're from, and we'll say hi to you. So you can actually keep track of that, and as people fill that out, you can say hello to them while you're on the webinar. Another way to do this is to use the Builderall webinar platform, and you can add that to this page as well. Just remove the YouTube and then go to Plus and then Apps, and then right here is the webinar platform app. If you click this, it will add it to the website, and then you can configure your Builderall webinar to display right on this page. If you're not real sure how to do the Builderall webinar and set it up, just watch one of our tutorials and you can learn how to set up the Builderall webinar platform so you can live stream right on Builderall and right through Builderall. Another very important thing is this button right here. You can use this button to send them to your product purchase page, into another funnel, or into another area, and you need to configure this button to send them wherever you want them to go. So to do that, you just right click and you go to Action. And then from Action, you can choose to send them to a page inside this funnel or to a web address outside of the funnel where you can maybe send them to a new funnel or to a product page. Once you've made your changes, you want to click Save and then Save again. So now we have them going for the registration page, to the confirmation page, to the broadcast room. Now let's take a look at our replay page. So I'm going to go to the page icon, to the layout, and then to webinar replay. And for webinar replay, We've got this set up so that it's not necessarily tied to a specific page. The way the user gets here is in their email sequence, they click on a link and they can go to this page where they can watch the replay. So here's where you would put the link to the replay. It also has the ability to collect comments during the replay, and you can check those out. And then after the replay, there's a button, and you can configure this button to go to any page or any funnel that you want them to go to after they watch the webinar. To do that, you just right-click on the button and you go to Action. And then on Action, you can choose a page inside the funnel, or you can choose a website address outside the funnel, including a new funnel or a product page or a service page where you're selling one of your products or services. So that's how you configure all of the pages inside your webinar funnel in Builderall.